The paranormal is a widely explored subject where you can find content through movies, reality TV series conducting social experiments, and YouTube channels, such as the likes of Mindseed TV, Paranormal Nightmare, and Oh My Gosh TV.
Gotta go for now, but before you leave, give me a kiss.
But we haven't seen much in the way of a game taking true-to-life paranormal investigations. This was until on September of 2018-2020. We were given Phasmophobia. Now, in 2023, March 27, we have the next entry into the paranormal investigation category with Demonologist, developed by Clock Wizard Games. A game that pits you and up to 3 friends performing a paranormal investigation.
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
Putting the players in a cursed location by the way of a home or public facility in which to investigate the phenomena that is occurring as an early contractor or employee of a paranormal investigative company. When you fire up the game for the first time, you're landed in a pretty dilapidated house which acts like a safe house of sorts, which will let you customize your character, purchase additional gear, upgrade your safe house entirely, or get new clothing mods, all of which are purchased with in-game credits. These in-game credits are earned after completing successful investigations. Additionally, the safe house allows you to launch into a multiplayer lobby prior to setting off the location of choice to begin your ghost hunt. To really get the full experience, this game is best enjoyed with a headset to really immerse yourself into the environment. And if you have a weak heart, maybe keep the lights on and your favorite teddy bear close by. The objective of these games is simple. You are to gather evidence of paranormal activity occurring at the location in order to determine what type of entity is lurking in the shadows. Much like Phasmophobia, Demonologist is also using your sanity levels as a health gauge, which is never really shown on screen. Only when you return to your base of operations for the level can you review your levels of sanity. If your sanity gets too low, the entity will target and attempt to hunt and kill you. What Demonologist adds is bonus objectives, and once the bonus objectives are complete, the ability to exercise and cleanse the location of the entity which has taken up residence. To unlock the bonus objectives, you need to first identify what type of entity you are dealing with, and this is done through the process of elimination based on what type of evidence you can capture using your tools. You then add this evidence in your journal, which will narrow down what you are dealing with until you have the result. Now, it's important to note, bonus objectives and cleansing the location are totally optional. Once you have identified the entity, you can leave the location. The tools you will have access to when you first start the game are the Spirit Box, and this behaves exactly how a real-world Spirit Box behaves. You need to talk to the game using voice chat in order to prompt a response. The EMF detector will give you a representation of where the entity resides within the location. The higher the EMF level goes, the closer you are. If you can get it to hit level 5, chances are you're in the right spot. A UV flashlight, which is used to identify fingerprints against surfaces. An ESG device. This device generates an electromagnetic field, which will allow the entity to briefly manifest in front of you. This is best used once you have identified the room of residence within the location. The easel canvas, or the artistic ghost. You put that down and let it get creative for you. Ectoplasm glass. This requires you to look through a glass to identify ectoplasm on surfaces within the game, which looks like white plasma on the walls. It's also how you know the entity has had a really good time and probably needs a cigarette and a sandwich.
Balloon animal!
The first level is an abandoned house, and what I noticed right away is that Demonologist is a lot more detailed and has a much more darker and ominous ambience in comparison to Phasmophobia, adding a lot more textures to the map. This is due to Demonologist being developed using the Unreal 5 engine. Having said that, I haven't played Phasmophobia since 2019, and it could very well be some changes which I am unaware of. A key difference between the two games is that Phasmophobia takes a little while to ramp up, and activity gradually increases as your investigation progresses. With Demonologist, it's totally random and can go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. This can be in the forms of things leaping out of paintings, lights breaking, cupboards and doors opening and closing, wailing noises, and entities manifesting in front of you. These are just a few of the things I have experienced while playing the game. Now, talking to the game is nothing new, but Demonologist offers an interactive environment through voice. Calling out names in specific locations will cause movement of objects and allow you to access other areas of the map, or to release you from a room. The best way I can describe Demonologist is Phasmophobia on steroids, but personally, I do have some frustrations with the game. Considering games like this just throw you into the action with very little in the way of a tutorial, it's quite easy to be frustrated with the objectives and how you are meant to achieve them. There is no real explanation of how you're meant to utilize the tools you are given, or a best practice to survive in these games. It's all trial and error, which personally, I think if Demonologists wanted to make a statement about their presence in the genre, they could have added a tutorial level in. Now, having said that, there are text-based explanations of how to play the game, and different type of ghosts and what to look out for. But it isn't overly obvious how to find these instructions, unless you look up the controls and key bindings. There is no mention of how to hide when an entity has entered into a hunt, so the player has no idea what they can or cannot do to increase their chances of survival in order to complete the bonus objectives, and potentially exercise the location. And there is no escape at this phase. Once the entity has engaged in the hunt, the location exits are sealed until the entity withdraws from this phase. Now, my biggest gripe with the game is, once killed, it's very anticlimactic. For all the tension that the game throws upon you through playing, the feeling of being stalked, the panic of the hunt, the death of the player was just disappointing and uneventful. Even the little cinematics which plays just feel a bit more like an afterthought. However, if you're playing with some friends, once dead, you do have the additional benefit of being still on the map. So if the hunt phase is on, you can always call out where the entity is heading, if you are into the paranormal, but don't want to leave the comfort of your own home, or don't want to actually go out and perform a paranormal investigation. Demonologist won't break the bank, and it's fairly entertaining with friends, as long as you don't mind not being given much information on how to use your tools and what you need to do. If this is something you need from a game, then you might find yourself putting this game down quickly, as it can become tedious and frustrating. But what it does provide is a great ominous experience, which will make you question the little bumps in the night, and provides an epic amount of comedy gold, especially if you're playing with friends who are jump scared easily. If this is something you might be interested in, I highly recommend you to give it a try.
Someone just ran across.